Hello, 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 hello. How are you? What is going on? We're back again. Another woman chat Wednesday. Is this the third one? Is this the third one in a row? We're doing okay. We're doing okay. I'm giving myself pats on the back for staying consistent. Um, now, funny enough, I get mixed up with the days of the week. So, like, I've actually been having a pretty productive week in terms of like thinking that I am not behind, but like thinking, like, oh, I got all this stuff to do and I got, this little span of time to do it. And long story short, yesterday I was like getting myself mentally prepared to do this live. And then I realized that I was a day ahead because I actually had laid down because I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not feeling well. I'm tired. They just gonna have to understand. Like I'm gonna still do my woman chat Wednesday, but I'm gonna do it on Thursday. Not realizing that yesterday was Tuesday, and I don't remember exactly when it was that I remembered that yesterday was Tuesday. But I was just like, oh, so I'm actually ahead of schedule in certain things. So I found that to be really, really funny. How are you guys doing? Hey, Ami. Hey, BM. Hey, exclusively elusive. Welcome. And also, thank you guys. I've been having, um, hi, welcome. I've been having uh what's that called, notifications and stuff from like old videos because some of you have been, it seems like, binge watching. So I'm really like, oh my god, thank you so much, and commenting and things like that. So that really like gave me a boost in terms of where I'm at in the process of trying to grow the channel, where I'm at in the process of actually like, I don't want to say this is a thing because this has been a thing for a while, but you know what I mean? Like it's markers of success in my mind of what I find to be successful, of things I'm looking for in terms of, okay, where am I at? How am I doing? So I just wanted to thank you so much for your engagement. Thank you so much for, and thoughtful, like the comments have been so like thoughtful. I could tell that the people that are watching and commenting are really, ingesting the material. So I'm so excited about that. I'm so grateful for that. I appreciate it so much. um I'm trying to think of, is there anything that, I mean, there are a lot of things going on right now in terms of just in general in the world, in our country, stuff like that. It's been a jarring and heavy past couple weeks, not gonna lie. I am struggling right now, like to just try to orient myself. I'm very big on maintaining balanced energy, and I call it homeostasis and things like that. And it's hard for me between like personal things that are happening in my life and the greater scheme of things that are going on in the world at large, in our country at large. It's heavy on someone who is so empathetic and energy, energy. So, but I'm glad to be here with you. I'm so happy I see all of you in the chat and everything. I'm really, really excited. I'm really, like, you don't understand how much it means to me when I see you guys engaging with me like this. So I just want to say thank you and I appreciate you being here. So that being said, what we're going to talk about tonight, I have seen, as usual, on TikTok some clips of this live. Oh, I ain't even pulled a live up yet. I'm somebody busy gabbing and yapping. Um, it's not a live, I'm sorry, but this video. Um, I kept saying it was Jubilee, but it's not Jubilee. It is, what is this called? It's called the Dr. Daff Show. And it says it's a part one. We'll see how it goes, like how we like it. But I saw some clips around motherhood, and I thought it was really interesting because these women, it's a feminist versus anti-feminist, and these women are discussing motherhood and the choices of being able to prolong motherhood or forego motherhood or this or that or the other, and then you have the side that's just like, oh, this was a woman's purpose type of thing. And I had some thoughts based off of what I said, but I wanted to watch it in totality. And so I figured that would be a good thing to do here because based off of what I saw, there's some really good jumping off points for conversation here. So I'm going to go ahead and play the intro and then we can get started. But yeah, let me know how you guys are doing, how you're feeling, what you've been up to since the last time we came together. And I will see you on the flip side of this.
You in charge of the girls, right? I am in charge of the girls. Are you in charge of the girls? I am in charge of the girls.
Oh boy.
You in charge of the girls, right? I am in.
It just said disconnected and then it reconnected and started it over. Child. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and share this. I'll be looking back too, like sometimes when y'all go and comment on the old things, I'll go back and see what I was talking about, especially if you put like time stamps. And I'll be seeing my little flubs and stuff. I'm like, girl, one day we gonna get it together. One day. Okay. So we're gonna switch. I want you bigger. Why is that as big as it's getting? Okay, man. I don't hold on. Let me check the thing. I feel like it was bigger last time. Don't y'all? We gonna do it like this. Okay, I like that better. I prefer that. All right, so this is feminist versus anti-feminist. We'll see what they're saying.
Introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Kyla Turner, and I am a feminist.
Hi, my name is Anne. I'm a feminist.
I'm Bella. I'm a feminist.
I'm Ceci. I'm a feminist.
I'm Chelsea Gods. I'm a feminist.
I'm Matrix, and I'm anti-feminist.
I'm Jada, and I'm an anti-feminist.
I'm Savannah, and I'm anti-feminist.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maggie. I do not identify as a feminist.
Hi, I'm Carmen JC, and I am an anti-feminist.
Thank you, ladies. And the first prompt is, women have more privileges today than men. Okay, anyone who feels strongly can speak.
I think women in many ways have more privileges, but they also have more oppressions. And I think both of these things have to be weighed in when you're talking about like people's social power, right? It's really important to understand that women face significant oppressions, significant issues. And so while some of the privileges that we can identify, like courts to be more lenient to them, for example, if there's a situation, for example, of custody, women are going to be favored in that situation. They also have less choice with their bodies, right? They have issues where with hiring, if they try to negotiate, they'll be seen as caustic and negative because they're kind of our stereotypical presumptions of how women have to be. And these things impact women significantly. That's just why I would say they have less political power overall as well.
Well, just one of those things was not true in regards to custody decisions in this country. In fact, men are more likely to receive custody of their children if they ask for it. If men seek custody in a court in the United States of America, statistically, they are 90% likely to receive more custody or possibly even exactly what they were asking for. I would just say that women are not more likely to receive custody of children in court. Men are. Women just are the ones who more receive custody in court.
It's true. It's only 4%. Only 4% of men fight for custody of their children.
And when they do, it's successful 90% of the time. So that would tell me that court actually favors men. I understand that there's like kind of this anecdote that family court does in fact favor women, but it just so happens that women are more likely to want custody of their children. And that's where that mythology comes from.
I would disagree. You mentioned that men get custody when they ask for it, and that presumes that women don't have to ask for it. Why doesn't it begin equal and men not having to ask for custody?
Okay, this automatically is such a disingenuous question when you're coming. Now, I haven't heard anyone call themselves traditional. They just said they're anti-feminist. So I won't project anything that says traditional onto anti-feminist. However, I believe we all know that when people are anti-feminist or people that have problem with feminists are people that have traditional values. Even if they don't call themselves traditional, they are proponents of traditional values. What is the number one or one of the main tenets of traditional values? It's that women are nurturers. It's that women are supposed to be the ones to mother and rear the children. So why is it that you're coming and saying, well, why are men presumed when your value system, I will concede that they haven't said they're traditional, but you get what I'm saying. Already off the bat, I'm annoyed. It's not even just the fact that it's a reach. It's the fact that it doesn't make sense because now you're going in opposition of what I'm assuming it is an assumption on my part right now, but I'm sure that will come, into clarity later on. But if you're about the men doing this and the women doing that, why are you now being a contrarian in this way and about this thing? I'm already annoyed.
Custody if they are actually full parents, just
Sure.
like the mom?
Sure, that's a great question. I think it's really important that we have a conversation that our laws are written by men. Our courts are ruled by men. So if you have some concern about what a court presumes, well, that's a conversation to have with men too. They're the ones who wrote the laws.
I saw you shaking your head.
I just know that my dad got custody of me because he asked for it. And it's a personal experience. It's not everything, but
Sorry, go ahead.
I completely agree that like all of the laws that we have, we can vote now, but we're still in a system that was designed by men. So a lot of the issues that we have, that men have, are because of decisions that they made.
But why would you start out assuming 50-50, like that both parents want the kid? Because in a lot of cases, like men just aren't asking. So wouldn't you want to make the assumption that like the parent who pursues custody is the one who feels empowered to, and
It's also I'm adding in here this idea of, okay, if we're at a point now where that is the opinion, these are the opinions that they're having. Wait a minute, let me get a little bigger. The opinion that they have or the belief that they have is that women are getting the custody automatically, whatever it is. The point is, what the deal is at this point, or what you believe the deal is. So that the option is there that if you get papers saying that, hey, your ex-wife or your baby mom or whatever is filing for custody, that then is your opportunity to say, hey, well, I want custody. You know what I mean? Or I want some, that's your opportunity to speak up and go, no, I don't want her to just have it. So they're able to show that statistically, meaning on record, that this small amount of men are actually saying, hey, well, actually, I want my kid. And this larger amount of men are not in these cases where they feel like, oh, well, I'm not getting, there's your opportunity. You're not taking the opportunity. So, and also, again, if we're coming from a place of traditional values and you are supposed to be the leaders, then why can't you lead in this idea of like, well, I want my kid. I'm making it known that I want my kid. This is my will. Because even if you want, that woman to submit to you, okay, she's not. That's why y'all aren't together. People in general aren't going to submit to you. You're not nobody that, you know what I mean? Like the court system is not going to submit to you. The judge is not going to submit to you. You know what I mean? So it's not a passive thing where you just show up and get what you want. You have to at least go through the motions.
Who wants to, because I agree, like there is a system set up where men probably don't feel empowered to ask for custody of their children, but I think that they should, first of all. But there is a problem, like you can't just say, oh, it's fully the court system's fault. I think there is a culture that encourages young men to just say, oh, well, that's a woman's job. That's, not my job. Not, if the woman wants the kid, she can have the kid. And I don't know why a court would assume that a father just wants to be a father.
I was going to say, so wouldn't that culture that would put that on men be a result of feminism? Because men would probably prefer to have the women in their household. And also, women are the ones that are more.
Wait, what? I'm going to go back because what? Let me see. I want to see what she said, that she's saying that that's a culture of feminism. What is she asking that?
All of the laws that we have, we can vote now, but we're still in a system that was designed by men. So a lot of the issues that we have, that men have, are because the decisions that they made.
But why would you start out assuming 50-50, like that both parents want the kid? Because in a lot of cases, like men just aren't asking. So wouldn't you want to make the assumption that like the parent who pursues custody is the one who, one, feels empowered to, and two, wants to? Because I agree, like there is a system set up where men probably don't feel empowered to ask for custody of their children, but I think that they should, first of all. But there is a problem, like you can't just say, oh, it's fully the court system's fault. I think there is a culture that encourages young men to just say, oh, well, that's a woman's job. That's, not my job. Not, if the woman wants the kid, she can have the kid. And I don't know why a court would assume that a father just wants to be a father.
I was going to say, so wouldn't that culture that would put that on men be a result of feminism? Because men would probably prefer to have the women in their household. And also, women are the ones that are more likely to engage in divorce. So men want to stay with the.
Okay, that right there, very male-centered, because we're talking about fathers wanting their children. What does a father wanting his child have to do with the mother being in the household? I get that in a perfect world, families would remain families, they want nuclear families, families are families. There's all kind of families, but I'm saying like in their mind, mom, dad, children, families would remain families. But in the case where that is not the case, we're talking about a father's duty and relationship with their child. So what does that have to do with you understanding that you're not going to be in a household with this woman anymore, but you making sure that you're going to have access and time, space, ability to be able to rear your child and instill the values that you want instilled in your child yourself? That is something different than this idea of feminism taking a woman out of the house. Just because the woman is not in the house does not mean that your child can't be in the house if you take your ass to court and say, hey, I still want access to my children. That's something different.
These women
engage in divorce.
Yeah,
like start divorce.
Like
is what you're saying.
I don't know what she was trying to say.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, and men are the ones that actually stay because they want their family together. It is women that actually disrupt the family, and then they get upset with the results of a.
We were talking about custody of children. The marriage is over. That's a separate conversation about who initiates divorces and this and that and the other. We're talking about, we know that the relationship is not viable anymore and we got these kids and who's going to raise them. It sounds like too much effort.
A disrupted family.
Or they just want to keep the woman so that she's running the household. I don't know if it's necessarily I don't know. Men can't function as well without women as women can without a man. So I feel like when he hears divorce is on the table, it's going to disrupt his whole life a lot more. And I feel like that's really what they're thinking about.
So women do initiate divorce more. The issue is that they also initiate couples therapy. They also initiate seeking every single other alternative before divorce at basically the same rates as we see with divorce rates, right? So yes, women are divorcing. The issue is that like men accepting a loveless marriage with children who are miserable isn't like this thing that we should hold up and go, see, isn't this better? It's like, actually, all of this is unhealthy, right? It's unhealthy that men have been socialized in such a way that they don't think of themselves as fathers first, that they aren't asking for it, right? Whereas in this way, this is where women have been taught for both good.
I love that she said that because that is the issue. Like they were talking about fatherhood on the feminist side. They were saying, hey, when it comes to the idea of fatherhood and okay, this relationship is over, but if a man really wants to be in his child's life, then these are the things that they can do. And in the cases when they do that, this is the success rate. And they're over there saying, oh, well, the women are breaking up the family. Why are you still harping on the family? The woman is not a part of your family anymore. Now you have children. What are you going to do about maintaining the idea of your children? And if you don't want to maintain relationships with your children, I'm not going to say that's fine, but you know that's your right, right? But then you can't go and cry and say, "Oh, I don't have access to my children." They're saying you have means to have access to your children, but if you're deciding that oh, it's not worth it unless the woman's there, that's a you problem. That's not feminism.
Good and bad that you are a mom, right? And I think we default to that, which is harmful to women. But we have to acknowledge that like women are seeking off ramps in these relationships where divorce happens. And the same issues that they cite for divorce are happening over and over and over again. And this is a systemic issue. It's not just women won't tolerate a loveless, empty marriage, which is not even good for children.
So a loveless, empty marriage, how does the system contribute to what happens in your marriage?
Well, the way that we raise our boys, right, for example, is we teach them that your emotions are bad. So think about the way that we raise young boys. The most common way that young boys express their feelings is called externalizing. We see this in clinical data. The way that boys express their feelings, we teach them the only emotion you're allowed to have as a boy is anger. That's the only one allowed. But if you have anger, go to your room. Nobody wants to look at you or deal with you. And so what we've done is we've taught men that their feelings aren't okay, that if they have them, they're isolated and weak for having them. And so the only alternative for them is anger or anhedonia, a complete like emptiness and vacuousness. And so in this way, this is how society is contributing to this, because the presumptions we place onto our children that set a course and script for them that destroys their relationships. And men are reporting this. They're lonely, they have less friends, and their marriages don't work out. Men are saying this, not just women.
Really? Well, women do say it, so I mean, I don't understand why it's always like the men, because the men aren't emotional, because the men aren't this. Like, the women are the ones that want to leave. So
but women want to leave, and maybe we should.
So she's saying it's a problem because the women want to leave and the women are the problem because the women want to leave and the men don't want to leave. Okay, I guess you don't want to leave if you don't feel like anything is wrong. But if you don't feel like anything is wrong, and like the lady said, the women are trying to work on it to say, hey, I feel like these things are wrong and I'm willing to stay and work on these things with you. But they're like, nothing's wrong and I don't feel like anything needs to change. Then, yes, the logical next step is, well, then I think it's best if we separate. So the expectation there is that the woman is just supposed to adapt to whatever the man has going on. And no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. We can try to we can try to compromise or whatever, but if you're not going to think of these things as something that can be worked on, that can be movable, if you're going to be immovable in this situation, then I'm going to have to move. That's just real life.
Ask them why, because men are responsible for 90% of the violent crime in the U.S. Like, we always talk about women and what we should be doing. I really can't. I talk about feminism a lot, and I get so sick of it because I don't know why we're not talking about men. We're always focusing on women and what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. What the is with men? They're responsible for 95% of domestic violence, 93% of sexual assaults and pedophilia, 88% of homicides, 85% of serial killings, 98% of mass shootings. Could I go on? 77% of assaults. They are responsible for so much, and then we sit here and want to make women feel bad for wanting to leave that man. I don't know why we always are focusing on women all the time.
Well, because their solution is always to leave. It's never to
Not
stay and
always.
figure out-
Sometimes they want to have therapy, and the man doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, and therapy is such BS because you go to a couples therapist and they say, "Oh yeah, you should leave your husband."
That's not always true.
Oh, this is insufferable. Who's telling? First of all, let's. How do you know this, sis? How do you know this, sis? Because if I'm assuming y'all are in happy marriages, so did you hear this from your husband? Like, was he married before? Like, where are you getting this from other than just, oh, I'm on the boys team and this is what the men are saying, so it has to be true. If these are women, you're saying women are doing these things. So these are women's experiences. And the women are saying, yeah, well, this is our experience and this is the data to back up what we're saying. And also this is a firsthand experience. How are you then coming from your happy marriage where none of this is happening? I'm assuming none of this is happening and saying, oh no, that's not the case in these unhappy marriages. What do you know about an unhappy marriage?
Yes, that is
Have you been to couples
always
therapy?
the solution. No, and I will not go to
okay, so you're
couples
just making
therapy.
assumptions.
I have
Great.
heard so many stories. I've seen it online.
Yeah, if you have a marriage and couples counselor and they are just recommending divorce, which is not true. I've gone to marriage counseling and they didn't recommend divorce. If they're doing that off the hop, that would be unethical. You can actually report them for that. They're trained for more than this. A marriage counselor got trained to see marriages be happy. Right? The thing that they want is a fixed, rectified marriage. Sometimes that.
Also, another thing that you see in terms of like traditional marriage is sometimes they'll have couples counseling before the marriage. So why is couples counseling okay before marriage, but not during marriage as a form of trying to maintain? This type of hypocrisy really like it grinds my gears.
Can't happen for a number of reasons. However, the idea that marriage counselors are just telling women to divorce their husbands is so far from any of the literature that reports on this, so far from the ethics these people are trained on, is basically taking an entire field of care workers and saying, you actually just want to destroy the thing that you care for, which is it's just not true.
Okay, I need to ask a question to both sides. So, ladies on this side, do you believe that the gender gap pay is still real?
No, it's not. That's been debunked so many times.
Okay. And ladies on this side, I'm sorry, I want to hear from you on this side.
I think it's real. If you just look at statistics, a lot of people say like, oh, well, women are just choosing different jobs. And it's like we're raised to idealize different jobs. But even then, it's like women, if you have a child, you're now also working and you have a child, you're not going to work as much. So it's like that's to blame. The gender pay gap is huge. And the whole, I think it's like 75 cents on the dollar is just for white women. It's less for Hispanic women. It's less for black women. Like it changes. It's very real.
But you think that they're choosing like hospitality jobs because they were raised that way, or because women just naturally like those jobs
Well,
better?
like let's say like nursing. Nursing used to be a male-only profession. They wouldn't let women work on women's bodies at all. Became more female-dominated, and now men don't even want to be in that profession. So then they lower the pay because it's a woman's job. Same thing with teaching. It used to be just a male-only job. We wouldn't let women teach. Women got into it. Suddenly the pay drops for it.
Well, and not to mention.
And also, not that I expect, and there's so many people just ignoring what's actually happening in front of our faces. But the fact that even as of right now, I don't know when this was recorded, but as of right now, like within the last couple of months, the current administration has made some changes or trying to make changes or in the process of making changes to the classifications of nursing and fields that women are in to lower the pay by lowering the prestige of the credentials to do. You get like all that stuff is actively happening like right now. So to say yes, it is tough to listen to because like what the fuck are you talking? Oh my god.
And in addition to things like the gender pay gap, we also now see that women majority professions are being attacked education-wise, as the Trump administration just made it so that you can't consider nursing a professional degree. Audiology is no longer a professional degree. Yeah, and making it harder for you to get student loans because they've maxed out how much you can get in student loans. And all of these affect women more than it affects men. Well, if you're a chiropractor, great job. That's still a professional degree because that's a job that most men would seek. But if you're going to be a nurse, well, that's a job most women would seek. Now you don't get to have loan for the amount that you need. That's an example of a gender pay gap. That's an example of like what happens when you're taking opportunity away from women and women not making as much or being given as much in a loan or whatever.
Do you on this side feel that you can support women and not identify with the feminist movement?
Not if you like pants. My mom went to school. And until middle school, she had to wear a skirt every single day. That is one generation. That is my mother. If you're wearing pants, you get to wear those in public because people like my mother were part of the feminist movement.
I would respectfully disagree here, right? So like I worked in an addiction center. I was an addiction counselor formerly. It was for.
What are you talking about, Hein? Which one? Also welcome, maybe. We'll see. I'm gonna let you know. I don't play games over here. So, rep your set. Let me know where you from so we can go ahead and get all the pleasantries out the way.
Women, it was a Christian center, right? What you'll often see is that some of the most like dominant nonprofits for women are often religious in nature, and that tends to lean towards like the right side. Most of the people that I worked with didn't identify as feminists. They obviously helped women. I also obviously disagreed with them on a lot of stuff. I think that when women dislike feminism, it's because they have issues with specific feminists, or they, in my mind, have like some misinfo that they believe in, right? But like, of course, you can be like a person who cares about women and not identify as a label. I would just say, come to my side. You probably do agree fundamentally with my presumptions about what feminism should be for and what it is.
Anyone have anything to say about that on this side?
As far as being a feminist and supporting women, I don't think the feminist movement supports women at all. I think it actually harms them. It's told us that sexual exploitation is empowering and that we should kill our offspring if it's an inconvenience to our life, and that marriage and family are not important anymore. I mean, it's completely destroyed everything that's been unique about womanhood.
So the alternative is like, let me get my ass beat, take my Xanax, and raise these kids when I don't want to. Like, what's the alternative for women who aren't happy at home? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Women are pill popping more now than they were in the 50s. They're more depressed than they were. Yes.
How do y'all know? How do y'all know? And then I know they're not going into the specifics about who these women are, what their lives are, what's going on with the, like.
Yes, this is completely.
And men are women, yes, 2 times more likely to be on antidepressants than men. Men are 4 times more likely to kill themselves.
Why do you think that we're more likely to be on antidepressants?
Capitalism, the way the world is, the economy. I'll tell you right now, the economy controls the mood of a country. The mood of the country sucks because the economy. Capitalism is the actual enemy here, not feminism. Feminism was just a human rights movement like the civil rights movement. Black people should have equal rights. What's the difference between a woman and a black person? It's just a matter of, no, you want equal rights as you.
Wait, we gotta see that again. What that lady did. Hold on, I'm about to make myself little. Oh, hold it.
unique about womanhood.
So the alternative is like, let me get my ass beat, take my Xanax, and raise these kids when I don't want to. Like, what's the alternative for women who aren't happy at home? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Women are pill popping more now than they were in the 50s. They're more depressed than they were. Yes, this is completely.
And men are 4 times, women, yes, 2 times more likely to be on antidepressants than men. Men are 4 times more likely to kill themselves.
Why do you think that we're more likely to be on antidepressants?
Capitalism, the way the world is, the economy. I'll tell you right now, the economy controls the mood of a country. The mood of the country sucks because the economy. Capitalism is the actual enemy here, not feminism. Feminism was just a human rights movement like the civil rights movement. Black people should have equal rights. What's the difference between a woman and a black person?
That's the part. Look at I am so sorry. Oh my God. She said, excuse me. Listen, black, even though she's not on the right side, black, happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month, everyone. Yes. Okay, we had to take that in. We had to drink that in for Black History Month, period. She said, what the dodo? She said, what's the difference between a black person and a woman? She didn't say anything outrageous, but I know how to sometimes when you get them outspoken, white women, sometimes you do got to let them know, all right, now watch it. I ain't mad at her about that. I'm really not mad at Auntie about that. She said,
it's just a matter of, no, you want equal rights as a human because you should have them. I should have them too, right? It was just a human rights movement. It was focused on the gender, and then we focused on the race, and we all came up. I don't know why everyone can't come up together.
Yeah, I feel like there's a huge misnomer on what feminism is. Feminism is not me telling you to go abort your firstborn son. I don't care what you do with your body. Feminism is you have the opportunity to do what you want because of, you have a bank card because of feminism, you get to wear pants because of feminism, you get to have a job because of feminism, you get to get out of the house if you want to because of feminism. This is not about like trying to control your life. There is more room for people who are anti-feminists in the world of feminists than there is for people like me in your world. I don't care if a person wants to go have children their whole life and that's what they want to do. Most of my friends are stay-at-home moms. Many of my extremely liberal friends are stay-at-home mothers. And do you think I denigrate their decision to sacrifice their life for their children? Absolutely not. I'm a mother myself. But I also want to have the opportunity to work if I want to, because for me, that's where I find happiness. There is space for you in our movement, but there is no space for us in yours. We're inclusive. Feminism is not telling you what to do with your life.
Yeah, you
Feminism
can have
is
a baby,
letting
you can get married, do
do
whatever
what
you
want
want
with your life.
Sorry. I agree, though. I agree. Do whatever you want with your life.
Feminism is letting you do what you want with your life. And I don't want to tell you not to get married when you're 19 and pop out 7 kids if that's a thing that's going to be happy for you. But I want to offer people the opportunity that they can also do something else if that's what makes them happy.
So I did get a sense that someone on this side felt like this side was feeling or was speaking in a way that felt racist. Can you speak to that?
So when you said something about the difference between women and black people.
As far as human rights.
Can I speak or are you going to keep cutting me off?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, thank you. That's like one of my main issues with feminism is like even Susan B. Anthony, like she compared white women to the black man and she felt a way that black men got the right to vote before white women. And that's like also something that I don't agree with because white women think they're superior to black men, you know? Why do you need the right to vote before our men? That's the question I would ask.
I'm saying everyone should have it at the same time.
But why do you have to
about when it happened? I'm saying everyone is a human.
It was just
Doesn't
you just
matter your
throw in
race or your gender.
This is the thing,
I feel like you should be able to live your life the way you want. That's the feminist movement.
But why did you have to
choice
bring
now.
up black people? That's what I'm trying
Because
to say.
it's a human
because
rights
you're performative.
movement. I'm comparing.
Because you're performative, babe.
Okay,
You're
I'm
performative.
comparing human rights movements. Black people exist. Women exist.
You don't have to
I
speak
think
on it.
both of them
Don't speak on it.
Why? It's a human rights movement. That's what we're
It's
talking
not
about.
productive. I'm telling you, I don't like
to talk
it.
about human rights movement and compare the two when they're just about equalizing things for people so that we can
Yeah,
all come up
I'm letting
together?
you know that it's offensive. I'm telling you that
I don't believe curly Q. And the reason I don't believe curly Q at the end of the day, mind you, like I said, I'm not mad at Auntie. I'm not mad at Auntie because that was all right, watch it. And you need to have that with that type of white woman. Not even going to hold you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they can get carried away. But I haven't heard anything that she has said yet in terms of these are human rights issues and saying, hey, these are human rights issues. Now, she could get going if she didn't have a, she might take it a little bit too far. But this idea of saying, hey, it's the same in terms of it's a human rights issue. There's nothing wrong with that. And I do feel like that trying to minimize it, utilizing, I think they're trying to do a similar type of performative advocacy or pushback to what it is they're trying to project that she's doing, which she might be. I ain't even gonna say she's not, but I'm saying I haven't heard nothing yet. But saying that, yeah, she's taking advantage of the opportunity to try to minimize it and say, oh, you're being offensive to Black people. Stop going down the thread that you're going down. So, oh, she's a dangerous listen, right, because Auntie ain't even saying anything. You know what I mean? So right now I feel like y'all on the same side of the boat in terms of performance. I'm sorry, I'm looking out over my glasses at both, all three of y'all, because it's two of them down there that look a little spicy.
it's offensive.
It's offensive for me to say that women should have the same rights as Black people.
Yep, it is.
It's offensive for me to say that all humans should have the same rights as everyone. That we should
That's
all
not
have the
what
same
you
rights.
said. There's a difference between everyone
Literally
and Black
right
people.
now I'm saying everyone, I don't give sorry what your skin color is, what's between your legs. I don't care about any of that. I want everyone to be able to make the decisions they want for themselves and have the same rights. I don't want you to have any less rights than me. I don't want this guy to have any less rights than me or more. Everyone should be even. That's fucked up for me to say.
Okay, good.
Could I just ask, I'm just curious what's racist about the statement that I want women to have the same rights as Black people? I'm just, because you said that's racist.
Now I'm blaming this on the mixed ones. And I'm blaming this. Now we're in a leg of the conversation that I feel like is unnecessary, but they opened the door to it. Because at the end of the day, she looks, she has Black in her. So, but at the end of the day, I feel like that was, to Alicia's point, an opportunity that was taken to derail the point of what they were talking about. Now you have opened the door to these white women trying to investigate about feeling like the finger has been pointed towards them for being racist. And now I don't like this. It said, be more glad than Black people. I mean, I get it, the overcompensation, but like in this conversation, it was just like, no, girl. Because I don't see color versus you're being racist. And right, like now we're here, and I'm even more pissed off than I was just at the general. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now they have a little, well, why are you calling me racist? Like,
I'm just curious what's
Well,
racist
because first of all, you guys classify women as second sex, right? You guys think women, this comes from the feminist movement. We look at women and we say, oh, we're treated as second-class citizens, we're treated less than men. And so it's a little bit dehumanizing to say, for one, you want to fight for women to have better rights, and then to look at Black people, which isn't just Black women, that's Black men, our men, that we need to be, we expect our men to be strong. And for you to say, oh, well, women deserve the same rights, Black people should get the same rights as women, there's this culture in Black culture where our men are constantly emasculated, right? So I'm very, very I mean, my husband's a Black man, so I'm very intentional about how we speak about our Black men, and I don't like that. So
talking about just Black men.
But you need to be mindful, okay? Since you're
Sorry, it was something else. She says the mixed girl womanist are not girl. Are men now exactly now? I'm even more pissed because who the fuck was talking about black men? Who the fuck? Girl? Oh my god.
Liberal, and that's what y'all are about. You need to be mindful.
I didn't say anything racist. I didn't say anything like that at all. You're
But
trying
you
to
did.
misconstrue. Now you
not
are
a mis-
getting my twisted.
Thank you for. Did she answer your question about what offended her?
No, feel like and I'm not trying to be.
I know you're trying to actually understand
I genuinely
which
understand.
part of the conversation offended her, and I
You
think
didn't, it wasn't you. She
you're-
said something.
No. I understand it wasn't me. I'm trying to understand. You said the statement, I want women to have the same rights as black people. I'm trying to understand what's racist about that.
I think
Because you wouldn't say that about a white man. When
it's the men part. I think that got
Right.
added to.
you don't have to say women and black people and then not speak on like what about the black men? You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why you do that. Can someone speak to this? Like am I crazy?
Did anyone else?
I'm actually fucking annoyed and disgusted at this point. Because even if you don't agree, and I'm not saying I agree with that statement, because it sounds like Pink Hair is saying that like women in general, and this would include white women, have less right than black men. And I mean, supposedly depending on the thing, maybe, but not necessarily. So there is a lot of complication there. However, you know what the fuck that means. You don't like I understand if she's going at the part of we're talking because the conversation is about feminism. So if we're talking about feminism, then we're saying, hey, the men are over the women in a patriarchal society. So even though she may be off kilter in terms of the race, she is still on subject when it comes to the subject that they're actually there to discuss. And now we're here having this leg of conversation and it's pissing me the fuck off.
Did any other ladies on the side feel that same way about that statement?
I think she's just kind of referring to like women should have the same rights as everybody. Why do you have to single out black people or black men?
The reason I see
Black men
not
have
men.
the same rights as everybody right now, and women have the same rights as everyone. We're equal right now. So how far do feminism have to go before you guys see that we're equal?
But you want to I'm not talking about you guys because I don't know where you stand as far as anti-feminism. But there are people that are actively working to take our rights away, so that we are backsliding into time. That's why
as
I'm
far
here.
as like what, abortion?
That's
Okay, when it comes to this now, and it's really making me kind of look at the lineup here. I feel like this was done on purpose because why are there so many people I'll say on this side and there are all white women on this side? That makes because if there were some people of color and or black women on this side, I don't think this would be happening. This part of the conversation and or it would have been able to have been wrapped up by now. Like they would have been able to just sew it up, wrap it up. You know what I mean? Like they're all missing each other. They're not missing each other because here's the thing, and what Sis on the end said is really the crux of the problem. At the end of the day, you and me, Alicia, we were, in fact, let me pull it up. I'm gonna pull it the fuck up. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Because I don't want to miss anything they did, but I'm gonna put myself on mute. She said that black feminist was questionable. I wondered that. Oh, no black feminist was questionable. I wondered that. But yeah, remember, Alicia, when we were on, now why is it saying I'm not signed in? Remember when we were on TikTok, you and I, wait, did I? Yeah, I didn't mute myself. When we were on TikTok, you and I, and where was I just at? Oh, here it is. Well, I got to. And the lady came up and we were talking about patriarchy versus matriarchy, and she basically, we were like, and I think it was you that was like, yeah, you think that matriarchy means the opposite of patriarchy, so it's just patriarchy in reverse. And it's like, no, that's not what we're talking about. I'm gonna go and find where that was, and hopefully I can find it. I feel like, didn't I write it down somewhere? I probably did write it down somewhere, but I threw the little piece of paper away. Hold on. What is this? I didn't ask for this. Videos. It was this one. And it was, I want to see. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to find this thing. There was a man on there. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to find it. Bear with me. Here it is. Okay, I found it. Hold on. I'm coming back, y'all. Sorry. Sorry. Because Alicia was cooking. Okay.
And the women was wrapped in what looked like table linens or what, like it was just like
Of that, because if those texts weren't there to say that, the man and the woman would be the same. Like, where is the, like I got into something with a guy. He said, well, a woman should be led. I said, no, she shouldn't. She has since her leaving the womb, she has her own brain and her own legs and body to lead her. Why does somebody need a leader and a follower? Why can't they just be the same? So that's why I think we should go into more matriarchal.
Okay. But if you're, so what I'm trying to understand is, you're saying men and women are equal, right? Is that what you're saying?
When it comes to, they should be equal. I mean, as far as strength and things like that, we know physiological, no. But just in the grand scheme of things, like if you think about why you hear the rhetoric and the egos of the men who always say they're the head of everything and they must lead and this and that, 99% of the time it's because of religious texts and religious reasons why. But if it wasn't on any of that, we would be the same. In my view.
Okay, well, if we take out the religious aspect, wouldn't it be accurate to say that, for example, a simple, easy example, if someone breaks into your house, wouldn't you want that man to go find out what that is?
Yeah, but if anything, the way the world is, the woman to be down there trying to see for some of these men. We got more heart than, Well, we're taught that the man is supposed to be the warrior and the protector, but we're warriors and protectors also. So that's why I say,
Well, isn't that something that's been happening since the beginning of time?
But can I offer something? I'm sorry to interrupt, but to the point of matriarchy, like matriarchy, under matriarchies, everyone is considered, right? It's not about a hierarchy based off of wealth or hoarding wealth or who has the most, and it's not about the hierarchy of men being the head and the women being below the men. It's about everyone being included, everyone being uplifted, because the least of these are taken care of. So like that's what a matriarchy really does. It's not really about, oh, the women are in power, like the men are in power. It's a completely different system.
yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not like the same thing flipped.
But doesn't someone have to be, I don't want to say in charge, but doesn't someone have to take the, I'll say it, take the lead?
Yeah, and under a matriarchy, it would be the elders. It would be the people who have been here the longest, the people who are wise, as opposed to the people who have the most money or the people you know,
Who are the physical
soul.
strongest and could hurt you.
Right. So yeah, so it'd be a group of people. It wouldn't be one person. It'd be a council. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be, everyone would be represented. Everyone would be cared for. So like it would be, so what I'm saying is that it would be hard to replicate that system for this example, just because, you know, it's because I feel like you all are having two different conversations. Crown is saying a matriarchy, and it feels like you're saying what it sounds like to be patriarchy, just reverse. And like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like that's not the same thing.
I definitely am.
Okay.
I have.
So that is at the core of any of these types of conversations when you have anti-feminists against anti-feminists, trad against, you know, modern women, all these types of things. In their mind, they're picturing women wanting to do the same things that men do in the same way for the same reasons. So that's why it's like talking to fucking aliens. I'm going to keep that up on the side just in case, because she said something. The lady that was there had said that. And thank you so much for Alicia for, you know, that part. I always think of that often because that was a really good live. I want to have lives too, guys. So if you're on TikTok, follow me on TikTok as Level Up Single Mom over there too. You'll see my stuff. You'll know it's me or whatever. But I can't just go on there with all them weirdos that are already over there. So I need people that I actually want to talk to over there. So if you want to be on lives like this and you want to, you know, come over, she said, I remember this convo. Yeah. So y'all need to come over there and follow me over there. Let me know you're over there, like my stuff and stuff. So I know y'all coming. So that way I will start doing lives because I can't just be over there with the riffraff. It's crazy. My nerves can't do it.
Repealing the 19th is
Getting rid of the women's right to vote.
The 19th is never going to be repealed. I think people are trolling.
Never say never. But she's right. I meant everyone should have the same rights. And I only brought up Black people because of the civil rights movement happening around the same time. These were human rights movements. We all tried to come up together, which I love, and I think we all should have the same rights. I don't think that's a...
Yeah, I don't think you
now.
had ill intent. I don't think you had ill intent. I'm just like, we need to be careful about how we speak when we're bringing in Black people because we're always constantly...
Girl, shut up. You tried to derail. You're not going to tell me anything different. However, I wonder how all these ladies on this side, on the non-feminist side, feel about the state of blackness and Black people's rights, because they're saying, oh, women have all the rights. So if you feel like women have all the rights, do you feel like Black people have all the rights too? I'm curious about those things.
Attaching every civil rights kind of movement to Black identity. Like we're always the LGBT, everything. It's always connected to Black people. And so I'm just like, no. That's what I'm saying is no. I don't think that you were trying to be like evil about it, but I'm just saying be careful because y'all have a tendency to always group Black people into every single thing, and it's just not always the time to speak on it.
I have noticed that feminists, and myself included in this, tend to get uncomfortable with conversations about race. We don't know how to talk about race very well. And even just this whole debacle that just happened was just kind of like affirming of that, of like, we need to get better at it, because...
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Like, just don't bring it up.
Hi, loves. It's me again, Dr. Michelle Daff. We've really been enjoying producing these meaningful conversations for the Dr. Daff Show. However, they are very costly to produce with our large team, equipment, studio, and cast, and everything that goes on behind the scenes. If you've been enjoying these thought-provoking conversations and want to support what we're building here, I would love for you to check out my fragrance brand, Fine Forever. Fine Forever is more as much as they have blessed me. The next prompt is, no career will give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children. Okay. Oh, maybe someone who hasn't spoken. Go ahead.
I'm a Christian, so as much as you guys know all your statistics and everything about things, it's more that it conflicts with my Christian belief so much, right? So I believe that we're here to reproduce. That's one of the things in the Bible. The first thing about men and women is that they were brought together and then it was to be fruitful and multiply. So I think one of the most valuable things we can do as women in society is to continue reproducing and grow up raise the next generation. So that's really important. And then I'm kind of seeing how this
How old is this girl? And this is my thing. She said, "Hey, Dr. Michelle." My thing is, what was I trying to say? I'm sure, who you talking to, Alicia? Hey, Dr. Michelle. I don't know if you're there. Yeah, I do. I can't see it on this end, but I'm saying, how old is this girl? Because this is my thing. Do what you want to do. If y'all want to have babies, especially if y'all want to have 10 and 15 babies or whatever, like, do that. Why are you worried about, and they'll get there, but like, why are you worried with you being so young and everything? You got plenty of time to birth as many fucking kids as you want to, girl. What's the problem? Right. If you want to be, if that's what you want your contribution to the world to be, do that.
generation is being raised in a lot of single mother households and stuff, and so I really want to prioritize bringing back the nuclear family, men in the homes and us in traditional roles, and that's my belief.
So I said yes, but it's with a huge caveat, which is that both genders report greater life satisfaction when they have children. Like, children's good for everyone. And this idea that we're lumping it to women is part of my problem with this, right? So do women experience like greater life satisfaction? Yes, so do men. Except who do we expect to be home? Women. We're like penalizing men and women. For example, if a woman wants to have a career, it feels like your side is saying, well, that wouldn't be good. Okay, well, she's also going to get life satisfaction from her career. In fact, there's a lot of acute happiness that often comes attached to a career. And the issue is that like men and women should have the agency to choose both of these things because they should both have access to it, right?
I also want to say, just based off of something she just said there, she said, talk about acute happiness. One of the things that anti-feminists do is that they try to downplay this idea, or male, I'm gonna just say male-centered people do, is they try to downplay this idea of happiness when it comes to women, because women are breaking up families because they're not happy, as if it's not a real thing. But then you want to turn around and say, oh, well, women are talking about more fulfillment and happiness and stuff. So that's the same thing. So if fulfillment and happiness is there, it's something that is a viable thing that people can in your mind measure. It's not real. Why is it only not real when people are happy doing something other than what you feel like they should do, or when they're trying to build up their stores of happiness in ways that you don't approve of? Like, is it Uchi Wally or one Mike?
There isn't a reason why we should tell men, women have to stay home, you must stay at work, you won't get a relationship with your children. You get a relationship with your kids for 6 hours a day. I don't think that that's better, right? Speaking of the capitalism, I think if you look at models that have like 32-hour work weeks, you have greater happiness amongst men, women, and children because both parents are home with their children. And frankly, if a woman wants to not have a child, that's fine. That's her prerogative to do, right? You can still have great life satisfaction and happiness from not having a child.
I just want to say one thing because she brought up capitalism. The nuclear family unit, I love the idea. Honestly, my dad was a stay-at-home dad for a while. Then my mom was. They like switched on and off a little bit, which I loved having my dad at home. I thought it was dope. And I think it would be awesome if we could have a parent in the household. But the reality is feminism didn't stop that. It was capitalism. 1950s nuclear family unit existed because we were taxing the rich at 90%. We don't tax them anymore. Amazon and Tesla, they
Sorry, not to put you on the spot, but Mamey Hamoon, I just want you to know, when I first started, I gave a shout out to people that are going back in the archives and watching and engaging and leaving such thoughtful comments. And I want to thank you specifically. Like, you've really been brightening my day. I'm getting all these notifications of these really thoughtful comments you're putting under everything. So thank you so much. I just wanted to let you know that while you're here, give you your flowers for that.
paid $0 in taxes. So I wish you could all be your trad wives that you want to be. I just don't know if your man will be able to afford the house to put you in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to really focus on the capitalism part of it, because if you want to be able to have a woman at home with your kids, you have to be able to afford to do that. And a lot of people right now can't afford to, even if they want to. So before attacking feminism, we should be eating the rich. We should be attacking billionaires and taking back the tax money so that you can have your nuclear family unit.
I wanted to speak on this one. Could you repeat the prompt for me, please?
Sure. No career would give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children.
Okay. So I'm probably the oldest one here. Just turned 50 last month. So as a golden girl who has raised boys, I'm a boy mom who was a professional woman, and that cost me my marriage, thinking that the career was more important than the family. And so my position is from learning from the mistakes that I made to help younger women make decisions that they will be happy with when they're my age. And you brought up the word acute. There's nothing wrong with working. And I do want to say, we are not expecting the man exclusively works and the woman is exclusively home. Both of my parents worked and took time, you
Auntie, I think that you may not be, but if you weren't there, yeah, they're gonna nod and everything because you have all of you the blackest one up there. Just gonna say, you the blackest one up there, you're the oldest one up there. And so they're gonna piggyback off of whatever you said to try to rely on you because you're the only anchor they really have. Yes. So you're saying that from a perspective, and I'm sure that if I probably sat with her, I understand what she's saying. You know what I mean? Because yes, she's on the feminist side, but don't lend your. I mean, you do what you want, but don't lend your wisdom to what the fuck they're talking about, because I'm pretty sure we saw something where Kitty. I mean, I won't try to give it away, but I'm just saying, like, no, what you're saying is not what they're saying. They're romanticizing. All they do is try to romanticize this idea that women are supposed to be in the home and women are supposed to be nurturing the kids. And even if you are saying, oh well, the mom can work too, we had to work, mama. We had to work. We didn't have the luxury, most of us. Since we talking about black and white and all that stuff, we didn't have the luxury. So y'all had to get in where you fit in terms of all this traditional type stuff. With all due respect.
You work it out for your family with your husband. That's all that matters.
She
It doesn't.
brought up the nuclear family unit.
Nuclear family means mom, dad, sister, brother, or whatever it is. It doesn't mean only dad works and only mom is in the kitchen. Generations ago, mom may have side businesses, do other things, sew, bake, whatever it is. You do what's best for the family. All I'm saying, as a woman with lived experience, who has been an executive, who has had the big bonuses and all of that, I promise you, having a son that is a
You don't get to tell people that then, ma'am. You don't get to tell people that then, ma'am. You don't get to tell the woman who, I don't know how you got to school. You know what I mean? I don't know how you got to school, but you don't get to tell the woman who didn't have the opportunities you had to try it and then say, oh, this isn't for me, who probably was struggling, and this is of any race, who was struggling and couldn't get the resources together to go to school, to get qualified, to be able to get into that place, to apply themselves and have the support or whatever, the gumption, the support, the wherewithal, whatever it is that you had and used to get you there, and say, I'm here, but this is not what I want. You don't get to tell somebody else that they don't get to strive for that. And I'm saying that as somebody who sits amongst all the very learned, accomplished women that come into my sphere, that have multitudes of credentials, of degrees, of titles and things like that. And I'm listening to them, and they're saying, some of them are saying, yeah, I did all this and this is not necessarily what I thought it was going to be, and it's wearing on me and it's killing me and this and that and the other. Yeah, I can sit back and say, you know what, as I'm trying to etch my little way through this. I can see how you feel that way. And I am kind of taking it slow. So yeah, I can learn from them that, but that's not the same as me saying, oh, I don't want to do it. I still want to do it. I still want to get my degree. I still want to do these things. You can't tell people who want to do something because it's something innately inside of them that says they want to do it, that, oh, don't do it, when you have already had the benefit of experiencing it. Just like I know, I can tell women, hey, if I had it to do over again, I maybe wouldn't have had kids or whatever, but I understand, I've said it here, that if I hadn't had children and I got to this age, I probably would have been looking around like, oh, do I want to have kids? Like, I know that about myself. You can't do that, ma'am.
A Marine, working with my ex-husband to raise 2 boys that we are very proud of, one that's going to the Air Force. Nothing will give you that fulfillment than being a mother. I'm telling you now, the acute accomplishments are great, but legacy trumps everything.
Well, this is the important thing of like fourth wave feminism, especially, is
I also want to add something in there too. Y'all know how I get down over here. Y'all know what I talk about. Y'all know how I feel about motherhood, how I feel about my experience, how I feel about these niggas, how I feel about all of this stuff. But y'all have also seen me cry and say I love my children, and I greatly value the relationships that I've been able to build with my children, and the wisdom that I've been able to glean. You know, like I can appreciate. I've grown such an appreciation for the experience and the privilege and honor of being able to be a mother to my particular children. But again, I would never sit and try to tell somebody, yeah, definitely do this, because of all the things. Just because I'm able to calibrate to that and reframe these things, that does not mean everybody is. And we see a lot, and they'll talk about it, but we see a lot of people who aren't able to reframe in that way, who aren't able to find that kind of peace and that kind of contentment, and to disastrous, results. So if you did that, that's a blessing. I love that for you. I'm so happy you seen, your aura says that you seem worthy, right? But you can't do that, ma'am.
we want women to have agency to choose.
Absolutely.
And if you want to choose raising your kids, that's awesome.
Yes.
And if you want to choose a career, that's fine.
Yes.
I want even women to choose choices that might be worse in the long run, because agency and choice is so, you want to talk about biblical. Okay, God gave us the ability to choose.
Right.
If you think that this is feminism is maximizing the capacity for women to choose, including what you might view as wrong, right? Because the problem is that if you limit women's ability to choose, all you do is you just make good behavior the necessity of survival. That's not noble. That's not anything that we strive for. Choice is fundamental to feminism because it means you get to choose good or bad. But if you're good because you just have to be, that isn't meaningful. So we want you guys to have kids. We want us to have kids. We just want women to be able to choose. And there's increasingly pressure to pressure women. We want to talk about the waging and earnings gap. The earning gap exists for two reasons. One of the biggest reasons is because women will choose professions and have plateau careers during motherhood. That's the main reason that women earn less. The second reason is because they tend to work less hours. Again, because typically they choose to stay home with children. And I'm not saying career is all of this stuff, but if you want to get comprehensive here and you want to talk about happiness and meaning and choice, what we're also doing to women, which is saying, you get to choose a career, but you're kind of a bad woman if you choose career for your children. We're not doing that to men. Men are choosing their careers over their children every day, because we've told men that their value is tied to the GDP output that they provide for their family. I think that's just as anti-biblical. When I talk about biblical, it's not the nuclear family that's biblical, it's intergenerational families and villages. And what we're telling men is, leave your kids, have nothing else, work every day of your life so that when you're 50 and retire, your kids don't know you and they resent you. That's what we're telling people to do right now. As a feminist, I'm saying, no, both should choose. Everyone should choose, including men and including women.
I would argue that men get satisfaction from providing. I think that is their ultimate instinct. And I'm not saying working themselves to death. I mean, unfortunately, I think the 40-hour work week is stupid. I think entrepreneurship is great for men because they can decide kind of what to do with their time. But I think innately, and my husband can attest to this, men want to provide for their family. And women tend to like to nurture their family. They tend
Okay, I wanted to highlight this comment right here because right here, and my book is right here on the back of my book. It says, "The legacy you live is the legacy you leave." A legacy is not just children, though. Your legacy is how you make people feel. Me personally, I believe the legacy is how you make people feel. The legacy is, you know, how you inspire people. And you don't have to be, I'm not saying you have to be, a Nobel Prize winning author or athlete or anybody of any kind of like societal prestige. You could just be someone in the neighborhood who people remember being friendly, being a safe space, being a smiling face, someone who people just feel safe around. You know what I mean? That's your legacy. Your legacy is whatever you leave to the people that have been within your sphere. So that could be coworkers, that could be um students, if you're a teacher or something, like that could be anybody that you spend a lot of time around. Now, I get that jobs and stuff don't necessarily value you, but the community that you build within these jobs, every job I've had, and these have been, drudgery, but I have made friends that I have kept in contact with in some way, shape, or form to this day, that we have pleasant, like, oh, let me give you a hug. You make me smile. You make my heart warm relationships with. You know what I mean? Even if it's not talking every day, even if we haven't talked since I've been there. If I see them on Facebook, if they see me on Facebook, it's, oh yes, you're doing good. I'm so glad you're doing good. I think you're a wonderful girl. It was this girl I worked with, and she's much younger than me, and she was married and everything. She's from where are they from? They're Slavic, and it was her and there was an older lady, and they were both from the same place, but they weren't related. And when this younger girl, like at the time, she couldn't conceive. She wanted a baby. She was like 23 or something, but they had been married, and she wanted to conceive. And I was just like, oh my God, they're the sweetest people. I was just like, oh, if anybody could have a baby, I wish they could have a baby. Maybe like 2 years ago or something, she announced she was having a baby. She invited me to the baby shower. Girl, when I tell you, I was bawling for days for happiness of this lady being able to have it. You get what I'm saying? So like, listen.
Tend to like to be with the kids more. So that's why they're choosing more part-time jobs. They're choosing maybe running a business. They're choosing paying hobbies. That is why that they do that. And I would also argue that women are not being pressured to stay home. I think women are being pressured right now in society to choose career over family and over marriage.
Well, this is completely unrelated since we're not going to be ping-ponging back and forth now. For an example, so just so you guys know, I was raised in a very traditional Christian religion. I was raised Mormon, and from the age of birth until 18 years old, I was told that the thing that was going to make me the very happiest was having a family. That is something that is told to you in these kind of patriarchal religions.
Sorry, wanted to highlight this comment as well, because I say that all the time. I mean, that's something that I see a lot. Mostly I see it with men, but I guess the women have to adopt it as well if they're male centered. There is a reluctance to, or you don't see them saying I want, I think, I feel, I will. It's always, oh, well, no, this is just the way it is. It's nature, it's traditional. It's always something outside of themselves to compel them to do whatever it is that they do. And while I can respect the idea of, taking values into the future and having certain things that are beyond you in a sense of some the idea of tradition, of ritual, of things like that, as a spiritual person, I see the value in that. But there is a lack of ownership that translates in male-centered spaces and in male-centered thinking to this idea of, oh, well, if I do something wrong, if something goes wrong here, it's actually not my fault. So there's a lack of accountability in it that I feel like gets overlooked. So yes, we are in agreement. Also, I meant to, and I'm going to take a pivot off of this really quickly when the elder had mentioned she was a mother of sons. That's why I kept this up, because we're going to flip back to that TikTok live we have. And I knew this was going to become relevant at some point. So hold on.
I have 3 sons. So I don't agree that my 3 sons should not be the ones that, lead. I don't
Can I ask?
Sure.
Why do you think your son should be the ones to lead? What qualifies them for that?
I was going to ask that too. Like, what? Yeah.
Well, I think what qualifies them, for myself, speaking for myself, it is because I do believe in the religious aspect as far as God, man, woman, and child. That is why.
So for me personally, it's one of those things where that doctrine doesn't really take into account, and I'm not saying anything, that your sons are bad or anything. I don't know them.
No.
And you sound
Right.
intelligent, and so I'm pretty sure they're great boys. But what I'm saying is, and this is where I talk about implications. For you to say, oh, my sons just off the bat should be leaders, and implanting that idea into them, that means that when they go out into the world, that expectation is set, but it's not, there's no basis in having to earn that, because any leader, male or female, needs to earn that spot and be proficient at it.
I agree with that 100%, but that's also taking a different aspect into it. You guys didn't ask me about earning to be a leader. It was just specifically about being a leader. It's not that I'm disagreeing with you, but that wasn't brought up.
I mean, yeah, but the idea of patriarchy says across the board, and especially using things like religion, it also doesn't say any of that. It just says a man should be the head, and that's it. And there aren't really any requirements outside of that. And there are a lot of exclusions for women who may show up and have all of the credentials in terms of skills, mindset, and everything else to do the work. So in a lot of cases, we'll see women, very capable women, who probably should be in not even leadership, because I want to emphasize that it's not about leadership, it's about vision. And for women, the vision, we're just, I feel like we're socialized to be able to do that more. Our vision encompasses the well-being of everyone, whereas patriarchy says nothing is right unless the man feels like the head. So there's a lot of room for tomfoolery, as we see in the world today. But matriarchy is usually like, are you okay? Is everybody okay? And let's get everybody okay.
And then oh, my bad.
Oh, no, I was just saying okay.
And then when it comes to a lot of
So yeah, I knew that was going to come up at some point. That's why I kept it right there, because I remember she had said all that. And yeah, so when she comes in like, yes, and I had my sons and this and that and the other, girl, let that shit go. like, okay, that's you. That's not us.
Is that the thing that is going to fulfill you is having a family. The thing that is going to fulfill you is taking care of a man's needs. The thing that is going to fulfill you is having a husband. And the reality is, every person on the planet has some general idea about what's going to make them happy. And I refuse to believe that having children is going to be the ultimate goal for every woman on this planet or every man on this planet. And I think that the idea of putting people into small boxes and saying, women are women, therefore the thing that's going to make you happiest is popping a baby out of your baby hole, I think is dangerous. Because I was raised in a culture that told me that what was going to make me happiest was having a baby and popping it out of my baby hole. This last summer, I went to a Mormon event, which is kind of unusual for me because I've been out of the church for a really long time now. And I was having a conversation with a woman who she'd gotten married when she was 20, had done everything traditional. She was a trad wife, had her kids, her husband worked, she stayed at home. We're having a conversation, and our kids are jumping on the tram together, and she looks over at me, she's like, don't you just hate our children? And I was like, excuse me, what? She's like, oh yeah, my sister and I talk about all the time how awful being a mom is. Don't you just hate it? I don't hate being a mom. You know why I don't hate being a mom? Because I chose to be a mother. Because the first time I had children, I was 30 years old. The first time I had a child, and I'm proud to be a mom. I'm proud of everyone who chooses to be a mom. I don't want everyone to choose that. But this woman who I was talking to had a hatred of motherhood. And her hatred of motherhood came from a place where she wasn't given another choice. The reason why she resented what her life had become was because she had been told from birth that the only thing she was to become was to be a mother. Not me. I was whatever I wanted to be. And I chose to be a mom because that was a joy that I chose for myself. But I want you to know that I find children to be joyful, but not everyone does. And teaching every woman or every man that what's going to fulfill them in their life is children, I actually think is harmful. Because what happens when it turns out you have a kid and that doesn't fulfill you? Well, then you're a mom hanging out with me, watching our kids jump on a trampoline, thinking to yourself, I really hate being a mother. And I would like to avoid that because I think that there is joy in children. I think there is joy in that. But it's not for everyone. And I don't want to teach every woman or every man that that's how we should be.
The same could be.
Just shut on up. But yes, 100% to her. And that's why I wanted, because that was the clip that I saw initially, was her making that statement and telling that story. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we talk about over here all the time. I talk about the struggles I went through because I was not in a space where I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to be a mother. When I got pregnant, it was like, oh, I'm about to be a mother. Like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. But that's not the same as I want to be a mother, and this is something I actually want to do, and I'm ready to take the ups and the and even, let's be real, even if you go into it thinking, yes, this is exactly what I want to do, the actual reality of it, because I went in, I wasn't happy about it, but I went in. Oh, you're going to hear it. She did say everything that needs to be said. I went in knowing that it was going to be hard, knowing that I wasn't going to like it, knowing that, I had family uh teachings about what parenthood was and everything, and I knew it wasn't going to be a fun time, right? But when I tell you the actual experiences that I was having were so much worse than I ever could have fathomed. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things where I'd say do it at your own risk. But the last thing I would ever want for anybody else is to be put in a position where they are doing this and against their will. Jamal says children shouldn't, and welcome Jamal. This is the beneficial blurred. Check him out. He put something up recently. It's not necessarily, I think it's more so for men, but again, I've said before, like, I look for men who are talking in a way that gives me hope, and so he's that guy. He says children shouldn't be brought into this realm in hate or even coercion. Exactly. You're positioning them to have to go through all of these things, and then later on you're going to blame them, you're going to blame the parents, like, exactly, Alicia, because they're just automatons at this point. You know what I mean? They are the parents that you press the button and speak into, and then they just say whatever you said to them when you hit the button. My nibbling would ask about their birth story, oh, nibbling, and how their parents met. So I feel like this tracks. She said that elder should know better. Well, gotta say it, she's a black boomer. So they don't, a black lady boomer. It is what it is. It says, how do you rebuttal to your free to make whatever? We're gonna see. Let's listen in.
Said about feminism, right? So like kind of what she was saying, I almost lost my marriage from prioritizing a career, and I had gained very.
That's the nigga you with. That was the nigga you was with. You let him come and convince you that you was light skinned and pretty and beautiful, and he needed to marry you, and he wanted you in the house, and that seems like it wasn't what you was inclined to do at the time, or maybe you never really wanted to do it. I don't know, but that has everything to do with the person you chose to marry. It wasn't a compatibility issue. So if you're saying that you were willing to conform to what he wanted after marrying him, after he married you, knowing that that's not who you were, then that was, again, your choice. You got to choose. And I 100% hope that, you're happy in that choice, but that was your choice.
masculine traits. Like I wasn't serving my family. I wasn't paying attention to my family's needs. I wasn't prioritizing having a child. I'm going now into my 30s and finally at a position where I'm like, I'm all in to serve my home the past year. So I wasted all this time chasing after career and once again almost ended up a divorced woman.
But that has nothing to do with feminism, right? Because feminism allowed her the opportunity to have a career and the opportunity to have a child, and she chose what was best for her.
Did you hear that? They said she said someone pushed that on me. That is a lack of accountability. Now, mind you, if it was talking about single mothers and a single mother said, hey, you know what? I thought this man loved me and I wanted to be close to this man and I decided to have a baby with this man and this and that and the other. They'll say, oh, you weren't accountable. But don't her choices align with the idea of wanting a man and a family and trying to have that? But you'll say she wasn't accountable. This woman is saying, oh, society made me think that this and that and the other. Look, girl, before you had kids, you could try whatever you wanted to try. And then you decided to get married. And I'm sure, again, well, men can change up or whatever. But I'm saying at some point you became aware that the marriage you were in was not conducive to the life you were leading at the time. If you decided that you were the one who was in the wrong and you needed to conform to the life you chose to live, again, wonderful for you. But those were your choices. Now, somebody else that decides that they want to be a career woman may not decide to also marry a man who doesn't want a career woman. So they won't have the same experience as you, sis.
And she may feel that that's what ended her marriage, but I don't believe that that's what ended her marriage because her husband was involved in that too. There were two people in your marriage. He could have probably been involved. If he felt that that was a problem, then maybe that's a conversation that could have been worked out. But I don't believe feminism is why your marriage ended. I don't believe that for 1 second. You're allowed to have kids in feminism. You're allowed to raise a family in feminism. You're allowed to. Of course you are. But I have kids.
It's like it's about children, it's about serving others. It's about serving your home. Feminism is very
Bitch, serve your home. Like, who is stopping you from serving your home? And this is where it's so fucking frustrating. And this, honestly, this is making me feel like you're actually not living the life you want to live. Because if you made that choice and you made those concessions, and like I always talk about making concessions instead of decisions, or I talk about making decisions instead of concessions. That's what I'm talking about with people who are trying to like reclaim their lives and work from where they are and build themselves up to who they want to be from where they think they are. It sounds like you made some concessions to fit into the life that you were currently living at that time that wasn't in alignment with what you were doing, which is fine. No judgment on that. But for you to sit and say, oh, well, it's a bad thing that I was even thinking it in the first place, that makes me think that you're trying to tell yourself that it was wrong, that you wanted to do it, and now you're trying to convince yourself that you don't want to do it. So now you need to feel like, oh, it's not the way to be. Yeah, that's what this is giving. You're trying to convince others. You're trying to convince yourself. And people may say, oh, well, you're over here. That's the assumption that people have a lot. And they'll come at me, go level up single mom. You're trying to convince people to be single mothers. No, I'm not trying to convince anybody to be single mothers. If you're a single mother and you're feeling bad about it, I'm trying to let you know you need not feel bad about it. If you're in a situation where you're not a single mother and you're in a relationship or a marriage or something, but you're scared to leave it, only because you don't want the stigma of feeling bad about being a single mother. Yeah, I'm talking to that person, but I'm not here trying to just break up people's relationships and marriages and homes because I want people to be single mothers like me. If you're, y'all already know, but I'm just saying this for anybody that needs to know. If you're married, wonderful, good for you. There's husbands, there's husbands and wives in the chat right now. Okay, everyone is welcome, right? If you want to be married, I'm saying keep your head on a swivel, girl. All of those types of things. But you get to choose. And if you're going to choose, there are certain things you need to be mindful. And the most important thing that you need to be mindful of is what you actually want. And this sounds like a person who may have been grounded in herself at one point, but decided to give up that selfhood for, this grand idea of this family and this and that and the other. That's a beautiful thing to do, but that was your choice. And if you're content in it, you need to focus on being content in it. And hold on. And model what it looks like. Don't try to tell everybody, oh, you need to do it, because again, results may vary. Results may vary.
It's me. It's about prioritizing my needs, my happiness, right? It's about going and getting things done that will fulfill me, like a job and a career.
I was just wondering, like, you're saying feminism pushed me to get a job, right? Like, or do you think it might be more the system that we have? Yes. We need money to survive. Right. I think that pushed you more to getting a job than having equal rights.
Did you need to get the job?
No, I don't need to go out. I don't want to interrogate your guys' lives. Like, you guys get to make the choices that you guys want to make. The problem is when you take your story and you tell other people that has to be their story, right? So when you say, I regret it because that's fine. That's fine that that's your story. What do you guys think is the one regret of men who are dying in hospice?
Not spending enough time with their children.
Why don't they?
Because they sacrifice.
Because they're expected to provide.
So if both are staying home, though, who's going to provide?
But the issue is that both can provide. That's what almost all families are doing.
So if both of them are gone, then daycare is raising the children.
Well, that's an unfortunate issue that we could go back to capitalism. We can talk about issues as far as like providing UBI or providing free healthcare or allowing villages to raise children. I'm with you on these things. But the idea is what you're trying to do is saying men must provide, and you are dooming men and women to the same lives that they have reported saying, I'm miserable. So many women, for example, do you guys know about the gray divorce rates? So divorce rates amongst boomer parents is exploding because all those women and men stayed in a marriage because they had to raise their kids. And what you see is high levels of regret, particularly from women. What I want is a world where people get to understand that they can just sort the relationship any way they want. If the man thinks it's better for him to be out 60% of the time and she's home for the rest of the time, that's fine if they want to make that choice. The problem is you're prescribing it to men, and I'm not going to do that. You're prescribing it to women. I'm not going to do that.
What did I prescribe?
You're telling them that a man should be a provider and that a woman should be a nurturer.
I know I said that they get innate fulfillment from that.
It's a prescription. It's saying it's fundamental to who you are.
But so what is your solution? Because the man's not providing and the woman's not providing.
Yeah.
Who's going to...
Do you want to...
The solution is mind your fucking business and let people figure it out. The solution is that women have to work. If they want to. You know what I mean? The solution is you let people figure out what works for them. You don't sit and try to say, oh, well, because this is what happened to me, this is how you have to be. You say, no. If you're you say, if like me, you experience or you're experiencing this feeling that you're not where you're supposed to be in your life. If you're working and you're feeling like you want to be home, or you're feeling like you want to be a triad wife, or you're feeling like whatever, then yeah, you and I can have a conversation about how you can navigate this using my experience and wisdom. Yes, you can do that. But to sit and say blanket statement, nobody, no woman should be doing that. To vote to keep women from doing that gives jealousy. That gives, if I'm doing it, you need to be doing it too. And that doesn't give happiness. I feel like people who are happy and content and fulfilled do not need to see other people doing exactly what they do in the way that they do it. Because first of all, why are you not enraptured in your experience that you even got time to be paying attention to what the fuck I'm doing anyway? That's a different thing than, the women coming in these happy marriages and complaining to us about the bullshit that's happening.
We can talk about economics if you want to.
But we're not going to talk about it right now.
And the next prompt is, the sexual revolution has devalued women and made them infinitely less happy. Yes. yes. No, maybe. Okay. Whoever feels strongly about it can speak.
I think that this term, calling it a sexual revolution, is quite strange and it distorts history. If you look at the history of like the way that people engaged in sex, it really has not quite changed much. The only thing that we've seen change for the most part is the rise in social media and the rise of seeking out sexual relationships through that. Because you can go back through history and look at like the Greeks and the Romans that were very openly sexual. People were having sex in public. Like it was not a private thing. It never was. And it really only became like this private thing when you look at like the rise of like industrialism in the United States, and you see sex become like commodified, and it became like a dirty thing with also the rise of, you know, like religion and Protestantism in the US also kind of demonized it, and it became a weapon used against women. And I think that we've seen the pendulum go from like being hypersexual in the past where sex wasn't like a commodified thing or it wasn't a demonized thing to kind of going through this period of like demonizing people for exploring their sexuality or things like that. And now we've kind of come back out the other side where some people abuse it, some people don't. And I think that you have to have moderation. I've said this before, like as far as devaluing women, I think that the problem with devaluing women who are open about their sexuality or commodify their own sexuality and take control over it is a problem with patriarchy, and I think it's a problem with misogyny. I don't think it's a feminism problem.
Well, I would say that when you like put yourself out there to be overtly sexual and you don't give men anything to work for, so you lessen your value. So if you want women to be valuable, then having a lot of sex with men, being just out there not caring about how you present yourself, that is not going to make you happy. You're actually sadder now. You're not happy. And I think that, you know, women tend, like all species, one thing we.
So I will say this much. As someone who has a lot of trauma around sex, I recognize that there is a problem with what I think the problem is when it comes to this in terms of women, you know, feeling devalued within having sex, having casual sex and things like that, is that one, women don't understand how men view sex in that context. So the lack, I know for me, my experience was a lack of understanding around the fact that men will have sex with you under those conditions. Men will be casually sexual with you, but they will also judge you for participating in that sex with them. So that's a disconnect there, and that is something that women fall prey to. And there's also the aspect of overestimating how powerful or in what ways sex is powerful of men. And part of that is by design, because I was looking at something earlier where they were talking about, you know, the Epstein files and all of that, and they were talking about the way that it was Sunyi Previn is Woody, what is that man's name? Not Woody Harrelson. He was with Mia Farrow, you know, the guy that the director guy. He married his stepdaughter with Mia Farrow. And so the wife, Soon Yi, his stepdaughter that he married, was emailing, it was in the Epstein files, and she was referring to someone else, some other man who was getting in trouble for dealing with an underage girl. And she was referring to the underage girl as if the girl were a temptress that, and this poor man that this girl is victimizing because she was so seductive and tempting. Yes, Woody Allen. And she framing it basically that this girl had this sexual power over this way older man, and so he is the victim. So there's this overestimation of women's sexual power over men, this idea of having a sexual power over men. So where OnlyFans and all that stuff is the fault of women for taking advantage of these susceptible men. I also feel like they underestimate again the level of treachery, disdain, and disrespect that these men have for women that they, to my first point, are looking down on. So you don't even know they're looking down on you. And then this finger is you don't understand the ways that they will then punish you because of how they're looking down on you for things that you're doing with them. I think that that is why the devaluation and the psychological problems that women can have. Yes, I think that is very real, but that is again a product of patriarchy. Because if we were in a non-patriarchal society, then you could just have sex. And if you want to have sex, you're having sex and we can consent and it's okay and we're walking away. And there is no judgment of you. There is no punishment of you and your offspring. We've seen the lives. We've been a part of the lives where we're talking about the people, men and women, saying that kids shouldn't eat and things like that because they're bastard. Like all of this ridiculous type stuff, this hierarchy that is built off this idea of whether you are pure or not, and therefore deserving of humanity.
We know is that we're here to be with each other. You can try to look at it like we're not equal. We provide equal value. And men can do things that women simply can't. You have like you
Can I ask what? What can men do that we can't?
I mean, men build everything. We don't. Men protect us. They fight wars. We don't.
What do they protect us from? Other men?
Women.
Is she dumb? Who is she married to? I wonder who these people are. Who is she married to? Because what the fuck are you talking about? So there's no women in the military? There's a woman, no lie, look just like her. I'm not saying it's her, but I'm saying there's a woman that look just like her that's real big on TikTok. And she be there in her military uniform and she be doing her makeup and she be having her wigs off. Like, come on. They just get up here and say anything.
Women have always fought in wars. Women have built so many things. So many things.
But in the world, like the
women
roads,
also weren't allowed
the
to.
buildings, the architecture, men do all of that.
Women
Men
were
are the
also
genius.
I don't know if I have it. And this is for, I don't think I put it in my thing, but I'm about to put it up here right now. I'm about to show you because whenever, you be on Twitter and stuff and people be like, oh yeah, men built everything, cope, da 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 da. And I'll be like, oh, let me see something. Yep, here we go. Whenever someone starts talking that dumb shit about men built everything on the internet, mind you, I just pulled this up. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Hold on. And no. Multiple. Okay, I can close this then. Sorry, it's telling me like you doing too much, girl. I only need it for a second. Why isn't it showing it? Sorry, it's taking me so long. There we go. All right. So this says women responsible for the internet, for developing the internet. It says Radia Perlman, an engineer and mathematician, is widely known as the mother of the internet for inventing the spanning tree protocol STP, which is fundamental to the operation of network bridges and allows for large-scale network communication. Her work in the 1980s solved critical routing problems that enabled the internet to function as it does today. So that's just the first thing, right? I'm just saying, whenever somebody's getting on, the men built everything. Everything runs on the internet now. Our whole lives is on the internet. You don't know nothing about nothing unless you're on the internet. And if you're on the internet spouting that bullshit, like I said, y'all can feel free to take this. I will post it in the Discord if you need, and just post that whenever somebody's talking that dumb shit. But we're going to go on. Key women responsible for developing the internet. There's Radia Perlman. We already said that. Elizabeth Jake Fingler managed the Network Information Center NIC and created the first search engine, acting as the precursor to the internet's address system. Wow. Dr. Marion Croak, a pioneer who developed the voice over internet protocol, VoIP, technologies that enable, among other things, video conferencing on the modern internet. Oh, you talking about panels? Oh, you talking about Zooms? Oh, you talking about in the Discord? Oh, okay. Hedy Lamarr, that's my favorite because I knew her. An inventor who pioneered frequency hopping technology, forming the basis for modern Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. Fuck y'all. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let that sit in your spirit. And yes, women built people, period. Ada Lovelace was not a man. Can I get this out? Yeah, I can move this. I'm going to remove it. But ain't nobody got time for this. So I'm just saying, anytime, and again, please remind me. I'll send it over to the Discord or whatever if you want to have it. Anytime you see somebody on the internet talking bullshit. Yes, and the black woman, she just passed away recently. This was something I did, the other day, but she just passed away recently. If you need that, I'll send it to you.
It's way more male geniuses that are female geniuses.
That doesn't answer the question, though. The question was, what can they do, not what have they done?
Well, she's answering the question a little bit, but you're saying like they're more men geniuses. They stopped us from reading. They stopped us from going to school.
Okay,
the first black woman lawyer
right now,
wasn't allowed to practice law. She got her law degree, but she wasn't allowed to even practice and be a lawyer. They stopped us.
But that's not what modern feminism is about. That we have surpassed that already.
You idiot hoe. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, and then it's day. Oh my God. In Black History Month, girl.
You guys can read, you guys can vote, you can do everything you want to do, and you keep making issues. This is why you always talk about the patriarchy and capitalism. You feed it, okay? Why do you think that you are a feminist in the first place? They wanted you to work. That's what they wanted you to do. They wanted 2 people in the household to work versus 1, right? But you hate the...
But they just asked now, when a few minutes ago when they were talking about, people having choices and talking about how the men, and they conceded that the men regret not being with the kids. And then they said, well, what are we supposed to do if the men want to be with the children? They said, well, everybody can work. Now you're saying mind your fucking business. Just mind your business. Hey, QB, no problem, boo. Mind your fucking business. If you want to do whatever the fuck you don't want to work, you do it.
You hate capitalism, but you serve it. You would rather serve capitalism than serve your man. The man that was put...
The men aren't serving capitalism? Like, how is a woman not working helping to combat capitalism? And the men are working for what? To buy things, to buy homes, to buy cars. Because let's be real, they're not selling the idea of, be poor in capitalism. The idea is, oh, you're not rich because you're not living right. And if you just follow your man and support your man, then your man is going to climb that ladder of whatever it is. He's going to be an entrepreneur. He's going to climb the corporate ladder. He's going to do whatever. And he's going to be able to take care of you in good fashion. Because a lot of the reasons that women are wanting to work is because they're scared of not being safe financially and not having what they need financially. So the idea is, oh, well, you're supposed to put your trust in your man to do what? To provide for you. So we're still talking about capitalism. What does it matter if it's me working or a nigga? She's a dummy. Like, girl.
Here to
I'm a
protect
lesbian.
you.
Yeah,
Does your
it's
man
from-
make enough money so that you don't have to work? This is my thing. These are, if we're talking about family units, these are two people. They get to decide what happens in their unit. And reality is some men are not going to be able to provide all that they can. Talk about pressure. I feel like feminism was good for men because it kind of relieved them of a little bit of
It
pressure.
lifted everybody up.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, but
really
it's
did.
made men so much more depressed than ever. It's made them weaker.
I think they just don't like the fact that now they see, oh, women can be as good as us because now that we're allowed to have all these rights, we're graduating from college.
That's 100% what it was. Because even going back to the when the anti-feminists were talking about not the woman not being allowed to practice law, women were not being allowed to go to college. Women weren't being allowed to go to college. So then when women started being allowed to go to college, they noticed that men stopped wanting to go to college. Why? Because women were excelling at college. They were happy to be there and they were like, yes, I finally can learn. And they were applying themselves and they were doing so well that then men decided that they were going to withdraw from participating in that because they didn't want to have to compete with these women who weren't even competing with them, who were just there enjoying the fact that they could do it and just doing well, and then decide to downplay it and say, oh, well, actually, it's not even important. It's not even, you don't really need to be smart to do it anymore. Why? Because women were doing it and excelling at it. Furthermore, last year sometime, I don't remember the guy. Remember, y'all might remember we were watching something and the guy was talking about how they wanted to hold the boys back. So they wanted the boys in school to be slightly older than the girls in school in the same classrooms though, so that they would feel competitive with the girls and or surpass the girls because the boys that were the same age as the girls were not keeping up with the girls in school, and they didn't want that to hurt their feelings and hurt their egos, these children, these little boys, mind you. So they want to set the precedent that, oh, well, you, again, like I said in a thing, as a man you need to feel superior or at least on par with the girls and women around you, but preferably superior, or else everything is not correct. So now they're wanting to stifle older boys and burden younger girls so that the boys don't feel outpaced by girls.
If there's men, why you have to be?
Because we live in their world. And I'm saying because we live in this world with them where they are suppressing us, their bar is up here. If our bar gets lifted, so does theirs. Our bar gets lifted, so does theirs.
Why do women need to be less than men?
Yeah.
Women are not less than men. They're different from men. We provide equal value, but we're different. You can't, it's no way that if you got a man that's your age, your height, whatever, he's going and you race him. You're not going to beat him.
Is it about my, am I getting paid to race a nigga? No. But if I go to Ross, when I was in Ross, it was niggas working, it was girls working. It was both genders on the registers. It was both genders in the back unboxing the boxes. It was both genders on the floor putting the stuff up. There's enough jobs for everyone.
More times than not, they're going to dust you, which lets you know that you are not equal to them.
In what sport?
Not in that way. You're not equal. They're stronger. They have more logic. You're more emotional. It's just.
They have more logic. We only got a minute or two left, y'all. Says so holding a boy back wouldn't hurt his ego. No, because as long as she said, well, tell us this kind of thinking. It's called competition. You either work to be the best or you fall by the wayside. Yeah, but it's the difference between, is this girl dusting me? That she like this girl dusting me intellectually? Which is so crazy that she said that, and I just brought up that point. If the men's logic is better and everything, so they have better brains than us, why are these same men with the same kind of, ideology saying that the boys need to be held back so that they can appear to be smarter and or on par with these girls?
It's just to speak to the emotions, if I could maybe chime in here, right? The idea that like men are less emotional than women. It's like, well, what's the number one cause of crime? Do you guys know like the actual preceding factors?
My sweet summer child, London Link. Yes. It's not even about being physical, right? They know that for all intents and purposes, men and women are there's going to be an uneven situation when it comes to physicality, right? So they're always going to divert to that because they know that more often than not, a man is going to be able to best a woman in that situation. Now, but I got references for everything, man. I'm about to get something else. I just saw this today, I think it was. Hold on, let me say something. This is about physicality because you just asked a question about physicality or made the statement about physicality. Where is it? Hold on. I'm trying to find it. I'm going to go ahead and play this some more, but I'm going to try and find something.
Poverty?
It's actually impulsivity, right? ADHD is one of the largest things that is in prison, right? ADHD, impulsivity, right? And drinking, right? Men are highly addictive. They're suiciding at a higher rate than women are. The idea that men aren't emotional is again the type of prescriptive perpetuation that is bad for men.
Emotion.
That's bad for men and it's bad for women. Men are emotional. Right? Women are emotional in different ways. You're right. If you talk to, for example, a trans woman who's gone on estrogen, for example, a lot of negative emotions begin to emerge, more specifically like sadness. The issue is that we all act like logic devoid of emotion is wisdom, but that there's not even a historical precedent for this. If you look back to like some of the original writers of wisdom, you talk about the Spartans or the Athenians, they loved their feelings. The Spartan men were so passionate about one another and the things that they fought for that they openly sobbed. That's what original Stoicism is. It's an acknowledgement of the feelings and a drive for action through it. You take away a rat's ability to feel emotion, it starves to death in like a week because emotion drives all of us. Men aren't more or less emotional. We're all emotional. The issue is that, yeah, they have testosterone. They're always going to lift things heavier than I am. That's why they're disproportionately represented in labor fields. But the issue is that A, technology has balanced those things, and B, the idea that men are just better, men just, by and large, because of X and Y, have a little bit more dimorphism at the ends. They might like perform really high here. They're also disproportionately represented in some of the most disabled individuals, some of the most addicted individuals, some of the most homeless individuals, right? And so this idea that we're like putting like women below men because like we tend to be kind of, I would argue, more balanced creatures, I think is disserving both of us.
I don't think that's
But we're
what
not
she said.
putting
Yeah.
it.
That's
We're
not
not
what she
putting
said.
women.
Okay, I found it. Give me a second. So in the case of the idea of men being stronger physically and also more logical, right? Hold on. And now. Okay, so this is Zaina. I spoke about her when we were doing the thing about solar and Ava, Queen Ava. Zaina, she does sculpt her hair sometime, but mostly she does really funny little videos where she kind of dubs sounds and stuff over her performing. But she's also a bodybuilder. And so she says she wants big, meaty arms and frown everywhere she goes like Debo. She's very silly and lighthearted and everything. And then she's like, big, meaty arms. She's excited because she's working on herself and she's seeing her gains and meeting her goals. So then she gets a lot of comments on her bodybuilding videos unsolicited from men who are either telling her what a man wants or this or that and the other. So this one is about her saying she had big, meaty arms. It says, why are some men weird about women posting an arm day? Can I get in there? This man says, this woman wants to be a man so bad. Mind you, let's go. Can we go back? I want you to see what he's talking about. So he's talking about her. She says she has big, meaty arms. She looks good. She's doing her thing in the gym. Okay? Okay. This woman wants to be a man so bad. If you're trying to do all this, you might as well take up wrestling or boxing. Otherwise, you're just transforming into a strong stud for no reason, no ambition or nothing, just to get attention, to get views from people that half-ass support her. If you got a man, get him alone to show support because everybody else don't really care. It's just something to look at and then move on to the next. Not like you want a medal for looking that way. Mind you, she's in competitions. I believe she's getting herself together for a competition currently. And if so, who cares? So now I'm going to disqualify what I just said, even if you do, because I know you probably couldn't do. Who cares anyway? I bet when people see her, they like, oh, look at the pretty stud lady. I wonder what she do. Just show goofy TikTok videos and show off her figure like she's about to do something when it's only for likes and views. I'd rather look at a pretty woman that, as if anybody gives a fuck. I'd rather look at a pretty woman that acts like a woman instead of a woman beefing up to become something she's not, but only for shows. Because if you can't handle a real fight, then why bulk up thinking you bout that? So this is now become a thing of, again, well, you can't beat a man. This woman is literally working out because she wants to work out, because she likes being fit and physical. Yeah, she does have a man. She likes being fit and physical. She likes to perform because she does all these, funny things that she does with her body. And this man has to take it to, oh, well, you really can't beat a man anyway. Again, back to what I said on my thing. I wish I still had it queued up. Patriarchy is about a man feeling like a man in any given moment. And that can never be threatened. And we can't do anything for anybody of anything of any import for anybody unless and until the man is fully secure in his idea of his dominance as a man. It's a waste of fucking time and energy.
Under men.
Yeah, we always, like I was talking about this earlier, where we're always constantly like obsessing over this hierarchy on, I hear it from feminists a lot, where it's like, oh, well, men aren't better, like, women are under, like the book, The Second Sex. Like, this hasn't come from women who were happy being mothers and anti-feminists, anti-suffragettes. They're not saying that. It's always the feminists that are saying this. So I'm just like, why are y'all so obsessed with trying to be men? Like, why can't you just be good women and enjoy the roles that we're supposed to play, which is mother? Okay. A mother, because a man can't fill the mother role. That's why. So
now these women are bad women. Kitty, I just saw what you said in the Discord. That is Tay Diggs. But now these women, now we have the conversation has devolved to the point where these women are now bad women. Mind you, they don't know what they did. That one woman says, yes, I'm a mother and I love being a mother and I think it's a beautiful thing and I'm really enjoying my children and all of that. But now these women are bad women. Yeah. Yeah. They're bad women. I am sorry, I'm trying to pin. Here it is. I'm pinning the link if anyone wants to come up. No pressure to, as always, as ever. I'm just wanted to make sure. So predetermined destiny, no free will. Yep. She said, I need to see what that meal looked like because they always have a look. I knew they didn't look like her. I know that much.
I just don't understand what the problem is and why you guys are trying to be men.
Wait, is that the only
We're
role?
not trying to be men.
Wait, no, is that the only role we play though? Is mom? That's it?
No, I just threw a role. Like,
Oh yeah, that's also, I want to emphasize again, as we showed, the idea that matriarchy, which they'll prescribe matriarchy, they lump matriarchy, feminism, all that stuff together, and it has to mean that women want to do and be what men are currently doing and being in society through patriarchy. There's no other way of being in charge or a leader than the way that they do patriarchy. So the assumption is that they are trying to do and be everything that men currently do and be within and under patriarchy.
like, you know what I mean? I just threw a role out there that man cannot fill.
I think I'm the most masculine one here. I'm not trying to be a man. I'm just more questioning like what is being a woman? Like what is that gonna look like for me? And it's not that I think that I'm better than men, it's just like even just saying like men are more logical. It's like I think men have been taught that their emotions are logic. Then it's not that they're more logical. They're not better decision makers. They're not the ones running our households. It's women that are running the households, you know?
I would
that's why households
you
are
can
more
see, you can see households that are led by women and versus single households that are led by men. Men do a better job raising children by themselves.
You don't get to
Single
compare.
households led by women are creating YNs that are in the Black community. Women.
I want now, mind you, I within a couple weeks, I saw this lady, and she had, now we don't know what her son does out in the street, right? But this idea of YNs and stuff like that, YNs, the look of people, because that goes just off of the idea of seeing these kids and seeing how they look and stuff like that. Also, the quarter zip situation that happened. A YN is not necessarily a thug. A YN can be a thug and they can be doing thuggish things, but it's mostly about how they present themselves. I saw a married woman, her and her husband, she was like, me and my husband, we've been married for however many years. I'm a whatever I am. Like they clearly comfortably middle class people. And she was showing her son though, and her son was sitting there with the pooch icedy on. You know what I mean? So not to mention how many people we get into the comments of these different things like on social media, and they'll be saying, yeah, my dad was around, it fucking sucked. Yeah, my dad needed to not be in the house. Yeah, my parents didn't need to be together. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I'm traumatized about came from, I wish my mom would have just not been trying to be with that man. She didn't need to be with that man. Yes, he's my father, but he didn't need to be there. All these different types of things. If you love your husband, if you think it's a good idea to have your husband around, that's fine. Your husband is not every man. And some of y'all husbands is not the man you trying to sell them as to us. And the only reason we know that, again, is because y'all bring it to the timelines.
And do that, okay? Men provide structure. They provide discipline. And that's within the woman too. So men sound like great mothers.
Is anyone on this side passionate about this particular prompt and would like to speak on it?
I did. I wanted to say something with respect to the lesbian because I can't identify. But I think the flaw with feminism.
Of course, she's going to have those conversations because, again, it's about defending and upholding male dominance. So now they're on, you see, they've gotten progressively more defensive. And so now we have to start insulting and, yes, opening up the floor for racism and stereotyping of Black people because masculinity is in peril. We have to put the capes on. Yeah.
Is the expectation that we are supposed to be the same at all. I think we understand and we appreciate we are not better or worse. We are not equal. We are equal value, but we're very different. And I think there's a natural biology that often gets overlooked, especially if you've raised boys, you will see from the womb, they are just different. And I think when we try to put them together and say, anything you can do, I can do better, we're setting ourselves up for failure. And you made a comment earlier about women are better in every way than men. And the question that I would have is,
I didn't say that.
I'm sorry, you said something
I
about.
didn't say anything close to that. I agree with you that I think the sexist, no, I honestly, the men versus women sex thing, I think it's silly. I think these traits, human traits are human traits. Some were nurtured more in this person, some were nurtured. Like my dad being a stay-at-home dad, he was a much better mother than my mother was. I am so sorry, Mom, if you see this. But he just was. He was a better mom than she was. And sometimes that's the case. Forget the gender role stuff and like these are all human traits. You either are a gentle, nurturing, organized person who wants to take care of a kid or you're not. And that doesn't go man, woman, that goes person.
And I will say, not every woman is a mother. Not every woman should be a mother.
And not everyone, right.
But I would just.
So, man, what are you doing? Everything you've told me about means that you should know better, elder. You should really know better. You should know. You should be up there. And I'm not saying you should be sitting on the other side. I feel like you should be in this conversation at all.
Say this, find me the society of women that are doing it by themselves.
I would love to see it.
Exactly, it doesn't exist.
Why though?
Because we are not able to sustain it.
No, ma'am. There's never been a point in time where niggas have just left people alone. The women right now are saying we don't want to be bothered, and they're showing it with the decline in birth rates and everything else. And as you see, whenever a woman sits somewhere doing something, talking about doing, that woman wasn't talking about a man or nothing. Dana wasn't talking about a man or nothing. Here come a nigga. And then worst come to worst, where do they resort to? Well, we can make you if we want to. You're lucky we don't just physically make you. So let me finish it. It's literally a second or two. Hold on.
We live in a safe civil society because the men have made an agreement amongst themselves to not blow it all up.
You fucking kidding me? I know you goddamn lying. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear what she said? I'm waiting to see. Did y'all hear that? I'm waiting on. So not them end. Oh, they're going to end on that note. They end on that note because that was a part 1. So I'm guessing they're going to roll out part 2 at some point. I don't know when, but that was part 1. I'll wait and see what the clips are showing if I want to watch it because that was. I'm not even worried about. She said, "What did you have to watch it?" I said, "I'm tired of here talking to men. The women were talking." But not only she said, "Child, I am horrified." She didn't just say like, "Oh, it is safe and civil society." She said it's only as safe and civil as it is right now because the men have agreed not. She didn't say because the men are protecting us. She said because, oh, well, the men have agreed not to blow it up. Why would they? Is this the logic? Is this the logic they speak of? I'm dealing with feelings in my chest. In my chest. Like, what the hell? She said, girl, that's even. Yes! I'm gonna play it again. Sorry. I got, because you gotta hear it. You have to, I need y'all to comprehend this. I might even slow it down. Let me slow it down a little bit. Yeah, because what the fuck?
Not everyone, right.
But I would just say this. Find me the society of women that are doing it by themselves.
I would love to see it.
Exactly. It doesn't exist.
Why though?
Because we are not able to sustain it. It's something about.
Say anything close. Please forget.
And I will say, not every woman is a mother. Because we are not able to.
No, girl, where the fuck is it at? You not getting away with
As a mother. Not every woman should be a mother.
And not everyone, right.
But I would just say this. Find me the society of women that are doing it by themselves.
I would love to see it.
I'm sorry, y'all. Let me
Exactly.
speed
It
it back up
doesn't
to regular.
exist.
Why though?
Because we are not able to sustain it. We live in a safe civil society because the men have made an agreement amongst themselves
Here you go.
to not blow it all up.
Uh, I'm speechless. And that was the elder. That was the elder, Lord. Okay, so like I said, I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling to find words. The link is posted. It's pinned, I believe it's pinned. If someone wants to come up and speak, because so we've been the ones sustaining it since the beginning of the patriarchy. I don't understand her side anymore. I think she just hates her. I think that she is old enough now to where she doesn't have the option to do certain things, like maybe start over, have another baby or whatever, And so she's feeling regretful of her choices. And instead of her just owning that and letting that be her own thing, that she's telling herself that she can fix it or help somehow by telling other women not to do. Child, she didn't say whether she said she's divorced, right? You're right. Let me go in the bush and weep, because that was the elder, honey. Said the elders need to retire for giving advice. I'm gonna be right behind you. All you can do is go in the bush and weep at this point. Let me see this. Okay, well, honestly, guys, I mean, that's all I got for you. That's all I got for you. Yeah, I don't. What more is there to say, right? It said, yes, they do. Forever sit down. I hate it so much. She's so male centered. It's like she glorifies the men while being disgusted by women. That's what I'm saying. Like, and this is the thing that really is weird to me about the situation, because you want women to. No, I won't even say that you want women to want. That's the thing. They're basically saying, we don't care what you want. We want you to just conform. We want you to just participate. We want you to just concede and do what these other entities want you to do. It doesn't matter what you want. And if you're focused on what you want, that makes you a bad woman type of thing. If you're focused on it, if you're not performing happiness, because like I said, that didn't seem like happiness from that other side. That seemed like a performance of happiness. And when they can't get you on this idea of, oh, it's great, then they try to get you with this idea of, oh, well, it's your duty. It shouldn't matter whether you want to do it or not. It shouldn't matter whether you're happy or content or safe or anything in it or not. You should just do it because it's your duty to do so. And it's just, ugh, I'm disgusted. My stomach is turning. I'm sorry she sees what's currently going on with this administration and has the audacity to call it safe and civil. Does she not realize that countries where women don't have rights are largely violent and uncivil? What research are these people? This is again, I gotta take it back. It's not even the fact that she said that it's civil or not. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we are in a civil society. We're in as civil of a society as we've ever been in. Let's just say that, right? She said she didn't say it's civil because, oh, they're protecting us. And the way she framed it was that the only reason we exist is because they haven't decided. It's that idea of benevolent patriarchy. It's that idea again of, like the man was saying about the bodybuilder lady. Oh, well, you can't beat a man anyway. So if you're not actually trying to fight a man and beat a man, because the implication is a threat that, oh, well, you may look strong in a way that I feel intimidated by, but in my mind, I need to believe that if not I, some other man could come and fuck you up. You get what I'm saying? And that is what that elder, that sweet looking old lady with the little pompadour thing going on, said, that basically, yeah, well, we should be happy that the men haven't decided to just blow us all up. That's what they're offering as tradition and what you should buy into. Yeah, we can if we want. That's always the argument. That's always what it winds up becoming, of like when we're having these conversations and when we're saying, look, well, you say whatever you want to say. That's not what I want to do, and I'm not doing it. Oh, well, we can make you. You're just lucky that right now we're not making you. We're just lucky right now that we haven't decided, because if and when the time comes, and some will even say, oh, it's coming, we're coming, it's about to happen, we can just make you. We can physically beat you into submission or just end you. Those are the messages that these are. So anyway, yeah, it was. She says, a diabolical way to end the video. These people know what they're doing. That lady reminds me of Arlette. When she got up there, I said, okay, I see you, Arlette Jr. I see what you're doing. She said she's not the elder. We need to look up. Yeah, she need to go get on somebody's couch, a man if she wants, whatever, and unpack some things. So that's all I got for y'all right now. Like I said, nobody seems to be coming up, which is fine. So I'm gonna protect you. Exactly. It's the mafia, it's the mob. It's like, oh yeah, you need protection, you're gonna pay for it. No, we're like, no, we're not actually. So that is all I have for you today. Like I said, I will keep my eyes peeled for clips of part 2 to see if I'm intrigued by anything that I see being said. And we can reconvene on that. Also, again, I always tell y'all, if you want to, don't forget, there are memberships, there are super chats, there are everything. You can do all the things if you want to show appreciation for the channel, if you want to support me in continuing to be able to do this work, please, whatever way. And the free ways are also acceptable here. So if you want to, go ahead, like, share, comment, binge watch, comment, clip and share on other things. Also, again, if you were here when we did the clips of TikTok, go ahead, follow me on TikTok. So if and when I do decide to do a live, you're able to catch that. All the things. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I am missing? I don't think so. Amethyst, you come at the very end, but you could go ahead and watch the replay. So there's always a thing. Yes, that is now you got me talking again. That is okay. One of the main things that I do here, I say, is I'm not trying to teach you what to think, right? But I am trying to teach you how to think. I will come and pull you in and say, hey, look right there. You see that? This is what I'm looking at. And this is my interpretation of it. And you can make your own interpretation, but it's about connecting dots. Yes, there's always a threat to women. And the idea of patriarchy is it is benevolent until it isn't. Because again, they like to try to sell it as patriarchy is about family, but it's not. Patriarchy is about upholding the idea of the superiority of maleness. And how do we know that? Because in any and every situation where we're having these conversations and it deteriorates beyond its veneer, we get to a point where the threats start being stated. So even like I said, that sweet old lady, there wasn't a man in the room, but that sweet old lady, that sweet, unassuming old lady is basically saying, well, yes, and we should be grateful that the men haven't decided that we all should die, because that is their right as men, as the heads, as the superior ones, as the leaders, to be able to decide if you live or die. When you listen to these men when they're talking, whether they're getting angry or they're intellectualizing it like they do on what's it called, Diary of a CEO, there is that underlying message of, oh, well, at the end of the day, if a man decides that a woman or women shouldn't live, they can. But you should be grateful, and grateful enough to give the life that they're allowing you to have to any one of these men that want a woman. But the idea is always there. I don't know how many of you know the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There was a episode where there's a character named Dennis, and he was talking about the Dennis method. And the Dennis method was basically, he was explaining how you start off trying to be, nice about it, but basically it devolves into a space where you're pretty much threatening the woman, but there's always, you don't ever cross that line of not being able to have plausible deniability. He talks about the implication. That's why I always talk about implications. What are the implications of the things that are being said? Because and there's another lady, I have to find it. She was talking about how the American, the language of America and the language of England, how the language of America has evolved to speak in a certain way where it is trying to put a veneer over certain things, but the implications is where the communication is happening. I think they also call that double speak in terms of like white male patriarchy in politics, in business and things like that. It's about reading between the lines of what is being said. But ultimately, yes, the threat is always there, and you are supposed to react to the threat with submission, so that way it doesn't have to get nasty. But if you try to push back, then it gets progressively closer and closer until eventually, when they're waiting for that bell to ring, when they say, you know what, go ahead, have at it, and then they can just brutalize us. So yeah, and on that note, she said, how is a constant threat logical? It's, in their minds, it's logical because, oh, well, I can beat you, so you should just do what I say. And that doesn't leave room for dignity. That doesn't leave room for principle. That doesn't leave room for, hey, kill me. You know what I mean? The assumption is, and when you're thinking in terms of like the numbers game, you're probably going to have more people that'll just say, okay, I'm willing, or I think less people than they think. But the idea is that's the last card they had to play, right? So it's like, if you're worried about me harming you, that's the ultimate form of self-preservation is, okay, in order to keep living, I'll just do what you want me to do. Why would any woman want to live with a man with a constant threat of being unalive due to the, I brought you into this world, I can take you out mentality? First, they ain't even bring me, you not my daddy. This is Dennis emotionally manipulating women for ego and access to their bodies. Yeah. Renee Good shows what happened when you don't submit. Yes, absolutely. Because they, like, everything about that situation, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things where I say I walk on the edge of madness every day. Yes, it's because I see these things, and it's like, now I won't say that I can't. Maybe I can at this point. But it's one of those things, like, once you start seeing it, you're like, oh, there it is again. You know what I mean? And so now the dots are connecting and the picture is starting to form, and you're understanding just how pervasive these things are. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have some grace for people when it comes to wanting to fight it. And even for like Miss Ma'am, the elder on the other side, like I said, as a Black woman and trying to put myself in her shoes, I get it. I'm sure it's not just a matter of, oh, she was working in this and that and the other. Who knows how many times, how many family members said little stuff to her about you ain't gonna keep your man, you know, who knows what happened in terms of did he leave her for somebody she knew, you know, like the wearing on her self-esteem as a Black woman coming from the time period that she came up in and all of those types of things. I can only imagine the sources of her regret, those landmines, like I said, that went off of me. And I was never raised in a space where marriage was like pushed to me or even talked about. I got to just be a child and a girl, and I saw more matriarchal behavior in the household that I grew up in. So it's like, for me, when all those psychic landmines went off about who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing, and then I started trying to conform, that was completely foreign to me and kind of like scary to me, because I'm like, where did this stuff come from? So I do have you know, sympathy for our elder, but ma'am, is it absent abusive sky daddy, God brought us into the world. Well, all right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. This was a good. This was popping. This was eventful and interesting. Way more interesting than fucking Cam Newton. I'll tell you that much. So keep me posted if you see anything. You know, go ahead and let me see. What else do I have here? I need to add my email to this. I haven't yet, but I'll do that at some other time. You can email me at Quianna, Quianna, at levelupsinglemom.com. If you're on Discord with me, you can hit me on Discord. You can find me at Level Up Single Mom on TikTok, all the things. Yeah. So that is it. I will talk to you guys later. Let me go ahead and add this outro and then we can be out. Yo.